Rightio, Campbell's comments. Catching up with Mark Barton. Firstly, Mark, thank you very much for joining me. I can't believe we didn't do this in person, mate, at Oaklands Junction.
Mate, it doesn't seem that many days ago we were doing a few cold days out there in the shed.
It did turn cold, I must say. I didn't realise I had two jackets on for the entire day. It was revolting there a couple of times, but you must be wrapped with how the sale unfolded and ended up, and must be very satisfied with the end result.
Mate, yeah, no, it's all for the vendors. I think you do, like someone said, are you nervous? And you might have asked me that. If you're not nervous, you don't care enough. And I know that the team that we brought in, a lot of those guys have not been exposed to the clients or even the breeder horse, you know. So that was, yeah, it was a great result. I think there's a lot of hype and build up. So you start to hear big numbers bandied around. And I think Saturday there's probably that little bit of concern from everyone. Geez, we've overstated this a little bit, but it improved for us a fair bit better on Sunday. But I think that's the thing with two-day sales. People, they reassess markets. They go and have a look at horses. I think there's a lot of horses online they could go and review. And I think we had a good result Sunday. And it's ended up at a really, really, very satisfied, mate, for the vendors and certainly for our first go.
I made mention to quite a few people, I don't know if I ever said it on air, but if you guys had knocked it out of the park for the first one, we were in trouble because, hopefully, you guys can learn and grow the product. And there definitely was a few teething problems going forward and plenty of things you could change. But all in all, you must be pretty wrapped with the outcome of how the whole sale ended up.
Look, the things that we wanted to do was we wanted clearance above 80%. We've done that. We had numbers in our mind. Look, we'd love to average over 30,000. We've done that. I think more importantly, we wanted to treat people the way that, the Nutrien experience, the way we do it. And it's not to change it. It's the way we've done sales like this. And it's what I was really pleased with was the feedback from clients that they knew that we genuinely are there. We're not there for just to capture a check and go home. We are actually interested. I know how much it takes to breed a horse, and I respect the work that goes into those horses, and it's a privilege to stand over them. So I was really excited by the feedback and also the enthusiasm of my guys that have never seen a standardbred horse like that. Just the quality of the animals, and just they're really gobsmacked by the athletes they are, and they're a different type to what they're expecting.
I called them the green shirts, the green minions, if you like, the guys on the ground. It blew me away when I got there on the Tuesday. The Wednesday, I was like, hang on, there's more on the Wednesday. By the time Thursday came around, and I tell this story to a lot of people, and it is truthful. Marika Eriksson will vouch for it, that she actually thought she was in trouble. They rocked up, they were the first lots to unload horses, and she's climbed in and there was no one there, and she's turned around and there was 4 green shirts standing behind her, and she honestly thought, oh, we're too early. Like that was the reaction, was like, no guys, you got to close up and get going. But that was standard and was the bar that you guys set, I suppose, as far as organisation. From my point of view, on the Sunday especially, I had a fair bit on my plate Sunday, and I was trying to get out as many interviews as I could. Anytime I asked those guys anything at all, didn't matter who it was, from the guys, girls selling insurance and the like, if I asked a question, if they didn't know it, they'd actually go and find out the answer. They wouldn't tell me, oh, go and see him or go and see those. You must be really, really proud of the group of guys and how they presented, and then also how they worked, on a pretty stressful occasion, because you guys weren't sure what to expect either.
No, and look, if you actually break it down, we've got 200 branches in Australia that sell livestock. From those, we asked who's interested in horses about 16 years ago, and those people pick themselves. And from those people that love to be involved in their equine business, look, it's not a secret. We handpick the pick of those, or the best of those. Some of those girls are actually, young undergrads at uni that just, they can handle pressure. They know our systems, and they work for each other. And look, and that's one of the things that I got out of the corporate thing about 3 years ago. And the best part of this is the team, mate. The team, they do care about each other, and they care about clients. And that's not just a cliche. It's actually, if a client goes home happy, we're happy. And I think that's where it's good when you get the middle age, which I'd like to claim to be, but the older guys through to those younger kids, and they push all that enthusiasm and energy into the whole team, and then you've got those few older heads that actually take that pressure off. Don't panic, we'll get things done. And look, there's a lot of paddling under the water at times, I can assure you, and we've got a bit of feedback on a few things that we will do better. But no, look, you've got to be proud when your team unites like this group does, and it's fundamentally the same group that were at Tamworth in February. They've had a little recharge of the batteries, and I'm in Tamworth tonight. We've got 100 yearlings to sell on Saturday. Then in 2 weeks' time, we go to Toowoomba for another 300. So it's a busy time of year.
I think that's one of the things I learnt. You're not actually corporate. You are Tamworth, pretty much is where Nutrien is run from. And so I think a lot of people have this perception that, it's this big worldwide conglomerate that's running this show and making all the money out of it and all the rest. But it's not. It's actually pretty much through Tamworth that everything is steered through, isn't it?
Yeah, look, Mark Witherden's a background guy. He doesn't look for the limelight, I guess. Rightly or wrongly, that tends to be me as a face. But the reason it was Tamworth, when this came up, I sat down with Mark and said, look, the way we want to present our business, I can't do it without that team. There are normal brands like the other 199 livestock locations, but we've got 3 or 4 other very big livestock equine sales there. So that branch is developed in the software. We've put on 2 full-time resources. And so when it came to this, I could have gone to any branch to settle a sale, but I needed the expertise, and that Tamworth team is it's an equine hub. I would say 1 in 3 people that come through that business have some touch point with a horse.
Yeah. Mark Weathering, I was having a little bit of worry. Well, there was a bit of worry about our data and everything else like that on the day for doing the live parade, and he rates himself as testing my Wi-Fi skills because he knocked it off the post. Everyone else walks around it, but no, Mark had to lean back and knocked it for 6. I was like, we've crashed, but we didn't crash. So he reckons he had it all sorted. Then everything worked. But he was very vital behind the scenes. A lot of people wouldn't have known him, wouldn't see who he is. From my point of view, I will say he was first class.
The branding, mate. What you see in the way our brand's positioned, those young people, that back office staff, the extra, like you call them, minions out the back. It's like a football team, mate. I select the blokes are out in the front there that are actually doing the fancy stuff, spotting bids, customer facing, the way we go with the actual sale part, but putting the nuts and bolts, making sure that the systems work, the IT works. You work close with Andrew Yo. Telstra there putting in some other technology to make sure we had a backup system, like that sort of stuff. Mark, he's very under recognised for what he does. He's well utilised, but very unrecognised for the talent he's got.
I do a bit of work with NZB. One thing they were worried about, they actually liked the fact that you fed everyone, but they were worried about it. The feedback on the lamb was sensational. Unfortunately, you had me where I couldn't come up for air to have anything to say, but the feedback on the lamb was sensational. And that was something very different that you introduced that was really well received. That, and also you had a barbecue the night before the auction started for all the vendors. I suppose a get to know, but also who you guys are and what you stand for.
Yeah, look, we're lucky. We're in the red meat industry, and we're lucky with the lamb contact's mine, and the beef contact the beef short ribs, that was Mark Witherden. Jack's Creek beef is twice in the last 3 years number 1 steak in the world, and their clients of ours, they gave us that. How many people you want to feed? And it was sensational. Andrew, the caterer at Oaklands, did a great job, and the lamb, I must say, I didn't get a piece, but a great mate of mine is a great horseman and also works in the meat industry, and he just said, look, we want to support this. We're horse people. We love primary producers. And I said, well, these guys are primary producers. They produce a horse that gets value added. And he said, no, I'll supply the lamb. So we were lucky to tap into that. I think the barbecue Friday night was great. It was that's the way we do it at our other sales, and it works. I know I've been on the other side of it, where you unload your truck and your bugger just want a bite to eat and a drink and a bed, and that was the idea that works there. So let's try it here. So I'm pleased people liked it.
I unfortunately didn't get any of the food because I wasn't there Friday night. I had a prior commitment with the greyhounds. And then Saturday we were just way too busy. The parade was great. The parade was well received. The figures that I've got as well from people on site, but also the viewers post and outside of it, that was a really good idea. It may have ran a little bit close, maybe have to move it a little bit further forward away from the start of the auction, but all in all, it actually worked really well to get everyone's product out there who wanted to parade them.
Look, I think there were two parts, as you well know. We had a preview sort of show that we did on one webcast, and then that was Trot's vision. But the people that really wanted to see the horses, and your numbers were fantastic. I think you look at the webcast over the whole weekend. There was over 12,500 Australians, over 300 Kiwis watched our sale. That's individual users. I think you said over 2,500 people watched the parade itself, and a lot of online bids this weekend, and those people were going through Canvas Commons to find that info. And I think if you're going to get your horses out, and it was pretty hard weather there on Saturday, I do believe that gave vendors the opportunity to showcase the young stock that they had for sale. And I think, I was pleased. I think we do a couple of things we tweaked, but fundamentally I think we got that right.
I can say through my webcasts I had viewers from France, New Zealand, United States, America, Great Britain, a couple from Singapore, which was really cool, and there is one other country that I've forgotten, but they were good numbers anyway from all those countries. And so I think that's key. The vendors sitting back watching this today, that we were getting that product out there to an audience, but we're also getting it to a much larger audience who may not have bought this time, but 12 months' time when Nutrien comes back around, they'll be there ready again and getting that brand awareness out there.
Yeah, look, and I think it was fun the last few days. We've had a lot of post-sale sales that we've managed to be able to convert some of those pasturing horses. But just talking to some of the successful buyers, talk to me again about the trotting incentives and what about the pacing incentives. And I think that's already starting. I'm excited about these young horses where they get started, they get named, they start trials. Like I guess that's what people that have been in this game before, they look forward to that, and that's something that we're really excited about. Christy, my wife, and I, we've ended up with a share in a pony, so we've got one get down in New South Wales. We'll get the same thing. The trainers told us that they're happy with the last couple of days, and I think that's good when you see people excited about the next 12 months.
I'll be following a lot of the horses. Hopefully, they turn into superstars. You must be wrapped. Well documented. Our Golden Goddess colt for $180,000, but the highest priced trotter sold, in Australia, and that's your first sale, like $170,000 for a trotter. The trotters are going from strength to strength, but the Unballalur colt sold to Alabar Farm with the guys to the future as well. You must be wrapped in that.
Look, where we come from, we love seeing colonial sires actually make it big, and that's probably the thing that I'm hopeful of. I've seen a few, in the short time I've been involved, the more recent horses off the track, and even this horse to actually see someone that's actually going to make a sire from an untried horse. I think I've seen that work really well in the cutting world, in the performance horse world, even in the gallops. I think that's a must for us. I think the mare band we've got is fantastic now. You've got great investment, particularly in trotters from people like Yabby Dam that have got world-class mares there now. So there's no reason why we can't be producing a world-class product. That I said that to Pat. How good would it be to have one of the richest 3-year-old trotting races in the Southern Hemisphere, and in 2 years' time see some of the internationally recognised yearlings on offer that international trotting enthusiasts are coming out to actually, if they're not buying, but at least coming to see what we're breeding here in Australia. Oh
yeah, and that helps. Basically, you sell one for $170,000. That helps actually the legitimate, part of that as well, because he'll be said forever that he's a $170,000 yearling, and hopefully he's got $1 million, $2 million in the the purse, especially for Alabar, and that he wins that much money that people sort of drop it off. But he's always going to be that first real deer colt sold through Nutrien, but he's a real deer colt sold through any sale here in Australia. And that's key. And I think the very next lot, while I was out actually doing an interview with Brett Coffey, I think sold for about 90 for Pat. So it wasn't a one-off. Alabar were out of the ring. Alabar had the money to buy a trotter, but then the next one sells for 90,000 almost straight away.
And that filly was, I know, that was out of the same mare family. But Anton said, I remember when you and I did their on-farm preview, he thought one after another, he said, this one picked filly and this one picked colt, and they're world-class. It's a world-class mare family, and I think it's great that the market recognised that. I think it's also, biased, but how good is it to see a horse of that potential going to a stud like Alabar, where that horse is going to be given the opportunity to reach his potential, and they know how to manage a stallion. I think that's globally that's a great opportunity for that horse.
The big farms had a lot of success, most of them. There was no worries. There's been a little bit of stuff going on Twitter. We're not going to recognise that. We'll just leave that alone. But yes, we know it's there. So not everyone is happy, but sometimes some of the smaller vendors think they miss out. Lee Miles and Alison Miles, what a great story that was. One filly, and just remember it's one filly in the sale, $115,000. They were in amongst everyone else in their where they were in their draft. They weren't given special treatment up in the barn and all the rest, and they were able to top the sale for a filly. It was just a great story, isn't it?
Look, and I think it's also good for me when we spoke to them, and I really appreciated they made the point of finding us to say, look, they become despondent, I guess, with the industry and to keep one mare and to see what it did. But what Lee did, that horse he was out of that filly, she's out of the box 7-8 hours out of every 8 or 9. Look, he kept her out there and you kept looking at her, and the more you looked at her, the more you liked her. And I think that's what is important to us as a business, to see someone that's actually put the work into it and get a reward, because that's significant to a young couple like that have put that filly through, and obviously he's kept a really good mare. But like I say, she was a stunning mare. But we even saw her. I think you and I might have spoken about her prior to the sale. Just some of the videos and things that were there. Like there's some really good 1, 2, and 3 horse vendors. Great friends of ours, the Pickers. Dennis Picker he bought 2 really nice horses, and I was thrilled for him. It was the first time he's ever sold at auction. He's driven Group 1 winners. To see that, I think he was probably more nervous there at one point with them than he was probably when he won his first group race.
He was that little bit on edge, but he was well received. I think just back to the Lee Miles thing. I think everyone's got to learn and all the rest. I try to learn with my videos. You guys learn as auctioneers. Any vendors out there just thinking about it, Lee's video was actually the first one posted, because I actually did it, and it was the first one posted. So they were very smart strategically. They got everything out there very, very early, and I think that's key. Some of the other farms, I know we're on deadlines. We passed deadlines trying to get them out, and maybe that's something that, going forward, all the vendors should work out, that get those videos out there, get as much content in those videos as they can, but get them out there early, that people have plenty of time to sort of digest them.
The thing is, if a vendor, a purchaser feels they've got an informed decision to make, so the more information you give them, the more informed that decision, the more comfortable they are making it. And I think that, plus, the feedback that came from a lot of the stables that actually did on-farm stuff themselves, it kept the sale current, 4, 5, 6 weeks out, and probably paraphrasing what Mark here said, it felt like the build up to a significant event like a thoroughbred sale, and I think that's something we take away as, if we help create that environment with the support that the different vendors, and Lee's the start of it. Like that's where it did start. I think that's where we can all learn, and we can all keep our business out there. I had friends in New South Wales that are thoroughbred breeders, and said every time they turned on the radio, there was another story about this bloody Nutrien sale, which I think that's great. People are talking. I had guys that Terry Ryan, the thriller from Chinchilla, he had guys at Dalby Cattle Sale yesterday, on Tuesday, telling us where was this sale at. I've seen this footage about it, and I think that's important. That's what grows the interest or relevance to the sport.
And that's what will continue to grow it. And that's one thing that I know that you guys are not going anywhere. There was one thing I was going to ask you, and it just totally left. It was actually half intelligent too, which is a little bit of a worry from me. Going forward, Mark, this sale's not going anywhere. It'll be in Sydney next year, around the same time, I'm presuming.
Yeah, look, we got good feedback. There's finding the right. It's finding venues, the venue availabilities, and the dates. We'll firm that up over the next probably 4 weeks. Also, we'll firm up with that where we're going to hold our races in New South Wales. It seems a good thing to be just a little bit later. So the horse is better grown. I don't know if I want you to turn on Melbourne weekend like it did last weekend for us. Like that, that's one thing. The horse is, a little bit of hair coming, just starting to push out in a few coats. Maybe a fortnight earlier might be smarter, but we're certainly keen to get a time on the calendar, and we'll probably look at a Sunday, Monday, not a Saturday, Sunday. I think that was feedback from a lot of people that Saturday's a busy day for too many people, and we want to fit into the industry, not disrupt it.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I know the Kiwis, they actually run a lot of them on the Monday, so it's probably a good point, isn't it, really, that it's a half-dead day for horse people, and if you're going to buy a horse, the Monday's there. So that's great insight, that is. So, yeah, I like that. It's interesting. Interesting the bits of advice that you get, isn't it?
Well, look, it's impossible to rule by committee, but if you don't listen, you don't get it right. Look, like I said to people, we do things, you fail fast. Take on board things. Saturday proved to be tough in the market. I think, there's no doubt. You had, one of the trainers from Sydney made the point. It's really difficult not to race on $20,000 race nights in Menangle, for example, when your owners expect you to be there. You don't put your second-tier driver on those nights. He said it's they're the days you've got to be there. So if you can avoid a Saturday, that's actually smarter for us. So I think that's good feedback.
That's great feedback, and that's something to look forward to. I know, talking to most of the bigger vendors, the Victorian ones, as far as I know, they're all going to Sydney. So if you're a small vendor in Victoria and you think, I don't know if I want to go to Sydney, you're mad not to, because I can tell you they're all going to Sydney.
It's a fantastic venue. I think I've said to you before, Oakland's Junction is acoustically, I reckon, the best auditorium in Australia to sell. The facilities for horses and people in Riverside is just second to none. It blows your mind. I think it's probably, it's world class. You've got, the Randwick racetrack Warwick Farm track right there, but it's probably the only, it's a very big selling complex, probably a little bit more room for your horses, your yearlings to walk around on sale day, but it's more work for an auctioneer to engage with the crowd, but that's our problem. That's our job, and I love it. And I think one thing that Magic Meetings have proven that if you get the catalogue and you treat people well, it becomes a must attend, and that's what we'd like to build to over the next 5 years.
Two things I know that I was going to bring up before we go on to what we've got coming up. Darren McCauley, I did an interview with him. Anyone can go and watch it, and he was honest in his appraisal. He said he's never seen a thoroughbred sale like this. Like he was blown away when he got there, I think Friday night, and then he rocks up Saturday. He was just blown away by how it was run, which is sensational, because he's not just a perf race caller. He's been an auctioneer at just about every racing jurisdiction to do auctioneering, and if he hasn't, he's been there as a buyer as well, and he was honestly blown away. But the second part about that, you'd have to be wrapped with Dane Pierce. I keep going to call him Dion, but Dane Pierce, the job that he done. I mean, he sold your sale topper, and did an enormous job for a young man, which I would imagine was a little bit of a leap of faith for you guys, because up until I think I did an interview with him on the Friday, no one really knew who he was, but done a terrific job for you.
Look, Dane's he's a class part of our business. He was in a branch as a branch manager in a smaller branch. He won the National Young Auctioneers a few years ago now. So that proves he had talent. I got him down. I first met or worked with him at Toowoomba a few years ago, and his attitude towards other people and his team, spirit was what really got me. Then I saw him get up and sell, and he was sensational. I needed a man to actually change the culture of a few things at Tamworth, and he brought that to the table. And we had need for someone only about 6 weeks ago, and I put it on him. We've actually just promoted him to Rockhampton to be in charge of our whole Northern Australian stud stock, so which is a massive bull breeding business. It's probably a $40-50 million turnover that he runs now, and a team of auctioneers, and he travels basically from the top of WA right through the Territory and northern Queensland. And I said, look, I need you to do this, and he was doing 2 or 3 hours a night, learning pedigrees, watching how people sold, and no, I'm really proud of him. The fact we deliberately made sure that Macca had some of those highlight horses, but you can't run him in every slot. And I was pleased he had a good horse to work on, but he's a really professional young fellow, and I think again a terrific young man when you get to know him. So no, really pleased he could be there, and I don't think he'd take that gavel out of his hand for the next year. You'd have to beat it off him. I think he wants to. He's already looking forward to it.
Anyone that didn't get to meet him, go and meet him, because he is a ripper bloke to deal with, and he's got a very cheeky way about him too. When he hasn't got a microphone or a gavel in his hand, he can be pretty cheeky too. Which is, I think that was the other thing. Like I keep wrapping your staff up, but they did know when to drop their guard a touch and relax, but then it was all systems go. So I think they did a great job. One of the great innovations was the barcode, the changing of the format. I did a thing with Alan Parker. He'd be wrapped in the job that Alan done, but I know hopefully next year that barcode will have another little key component to it, which M and them could not quite get up. The tech guys couldn't get up, but they have the plan. They know what they want to do to get it going forward.
Look, I think probably take a little credit for Brett Coffey. He's the one that showed me that layout for that Kentucky style longer form catalogue, which comes at a cost, but the feedback on that was fantastic. Then we talked about putting the barcode in, which was the girls told me that they could make it happen with what was going on with QR codes. The weekly updates from Alan and the fact that it stays current every week, there was an update, meant from a branding point of view, people are coming to Nutrien every week to get that update. Look, it becomes the norm, and I'm just so pleased we went with that human involvement rather than some of the online or technical solutions that we could have used. But no, look, and he was an integral part of what we delivered. For a group of a team that are still learning a lot about the industry.
I don't promote a lot of what I do, but anyone that wants to have a listen to a good podcast about a passionate man, have a listen to Alan Parker's, because he's a very passionate breeding man, and he loves his pedigrees and he loves his catalogue. So I think well done. And he gave a big rap to Brett Coffey for coming up with the idea, and he embraced it as well. Which and I think that's a thing. 90% of people, 95% of people embraced the difference that you guys were bringing to the table. And I think that was terrific from my point of view as a harness person that's, entrenched in the industry. I love the fact that after a period of time, people have said, well, this is going to be different. We've just got to cop it. And then they've enjoyed it once they've got the experience. And I think that was really, really key.
Look, and I think the main thing is like I've said to a couple of people, I'm probably more dangerous now than I was a year ago because I've got just enough knowledge to be dangerous now. And I guess that's it. We'll continue to learn because if I do something, unfortunately for me, I do get headfirst into it and make sure I learn it because I don't want to be second tier at it. I want to be very good at it. Our team that have come behind us, they're learning pedigrees, they're getting to know some of the families, they get to know the breeders. The business is so much like the other people we deal with. It feels normal. It's just when I first went to my first branch that had dairy cattle. Someone said you know anything about it. A bit like my wife's in harness racing. My grandparents were dairy farmers. But if you want to learn it, you'll learn it. And then I was selling stud dairy cattle a couple of years later because there was an opportunity. And I think that's it. If you've got a can-do attitude, you don't have to be young and 21 to try new things. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're all right, mate. You're only 22, so you're going okay. We won't let the colour of the hair confuse anyone.
Pay for these kids, mate.
Actually, I've got to mention the hat. I did actually get a hat. Anyone wondering when I got a hat? I think it took me till Thursday. I did have to nearly plead for one, but I got one. I think I could have nearly pinched a couple if I was sneaky enough. But
it's one of those things you want to be careful how you brand yourself, and we finally came to the conclusion that you were probably the right person to be sponsoring the brand, we reckon.
It's a big platform up there. Don't you worry about that. It needs. I can't believe I did. I caught up with Mark Commodore straight after they sold the horse, and I was in that bigger rush because he was shaking, and I thought I've got to capture him straight away. I didn't have anything on my head. The amount of sponsorship Woodlands or Barristock or yourselves would have loved to have had that spot there. But anyway, I gave them all a free plug there. Rightio. Going forward. You've obviously got the sale next year, but you've got a couple of other new ideas that are gonna happen, including a winter woolies, I suppose, or a winter sale that you teased me about just earlier today.
Yeah, look, June, we've talked with a couple of these breeders, that have just said, look, we've got mares in foal, we've got some weanlings, what will we do? And we talked about it. I know Pat Driscoll said 12 months ago, what will you do? I said, look, we'll get this done. Probably second half of June, we'll have a date out there next week. But we're calling this up. We've always found if you give something an identity, and Winter Wonderland or Winter Woolly sale, it'll be a standardbred sale for whether it's brood mares or yearlings or weanlings. It'll be online. Don't care what state they're in. We'll try and get some good quality footage. As you and I have spoken about here only in the last couple of hours, that if people need help to get quality footage of their animals, we need to make sure that that's available. And we'll run that, probably open it on a Friday and close it from 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. But already, just bounced off a couple of people since we spoke earlier today. I think we'll build. There's some pretty exciting mares. Actually, a couple of the good properties have got some mares for sale in foal and a few weanlings. And then come November, we'll open up in September for that ready to run. A few people took that finance opportunity we put up at the sales, and I think we'll build on what we did last year. It was a foot in the toe in the water. We'll certainly breeze up in New South Wales and Victoria. COVID's a little bit more relaxed. Hopefully we get known for putting on a good barbecue, because that's the way I'd like to do it. Put on a barbie and make people feel comfortable coming out, have a look at the horses run, and get to know us a bit better, and give us more feedback so we can learn.
If I'm doing a live stream at Shepparton and you've got a barbecue on, can you tell the chefs just to put some food away from me? it's very...
I'll bring a green minion up, and I'll actually deliver one upstairs for you next year, mate. Now that we know that you're all right, we'll actually have to do it after you now.
Well, I'm going to fade away to a shadow, all this food that's going past. So that's key. So it's not only this one big sale. You guys are going to have Winter Wonderland, Winter Woolies, whatever we're going to call it, plus a ready-to-run sale. Now, for young guys out there that want to try and turn a dollar in the industry, this ready-to-run sale is the way to go. Don't worry about how fast they run. Don't try and dash them up. Just get a good product out there with nice breeding, present it well, have them striding up. We'll work out all the finer details, but it's something for young guys and girls, young participants in the industry to think about as a way. Ricky Alchin embraces it. He goes head on into it and all the rest. There's a few guys at Victoria that took it on and the likes, and there's probably ways they'd refine it. But I think it's exciting, and I think it's a good way for people to turn a little bit of coin around for themselves and set themselves up. They might be able to turn 15,000, 20,000, which is a nice start to a year for people to be able to make a bit of money.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that was the key. That the feedback from the modest size catalogue we started with was, it's not about the sections that they're doing. It's about having a horse clean gated and having a horse that was well educated. But where I come from, the old Shiva toothpaste, you can, once you squeeze it out, you can't put it back in. But we've got what's nice too. We've actually got just the first of those ready to run horses we sold, just trialling up and starting. I know. There's a few there that Steve Dixon had one that I know Benny Setry's actually taken since, and he's won a trial with that filly, and she's probably going to race in the next month. I think a top sell horse might have actually had a run in this last week, and I think we're that busy with the sale, I haven't got the results. But there's a few of those youngsters starting to come through, so I think it's good. And like I said, the buyers have wanted horses, just said, look, just show me a horse that's been given a good foundation that I know can has a clean gait and can trot and with all pace, and we can do something with them. And
by learning by your mistakes and our mistakes, we know that there's ways we can do it better, especially that ready-to-run sale, purely off the fact of just a couple of things that happened. There wasn't a lot of issues, but going forward, they're going to be changed.
No, definitely. And I think that's it. We've got people that understand the finer points that we're still learning, and we've taken a lot of feedback on board, and we'll make that better. I think the Auction Plus platform, people are becoming more familiar with it. It is a good platform, but it's different to what your industry's been used to. So they've actually done a complete rebuild since Christmas, based on the throughput with harness horses plus performance horses on it now. We give them the best part of a couple of thousand horses now a year, plus those mid-year online sales. It's a growth part of their business, and they've invested. So I think you'll see a lot more streamlined and easier platform to work through.
Absolutely. Bardo, I've had fun, mate. I don't know how tired you were during the week. I spoke to probably half a dozen of the vendors, and that most of them were buggered, including Lee Miles, who only had the one horse. But it must be still very rewarding, the actual end result of how it's all come out.
No, definitely, mate. Look, I take a lot of pride in what I do personally is important to me, and when I took this on, I take on, I think I said this the other day, there's some vendors there that gave us an opportunity to sell over $1 million individually of their year's income. I don't take that lightly, and probably why I've got a bit of grey hair, but when it came down to it and I put it to the rest of our guys, the belief that they had in the concept that we put up, it's a serious business we took on, and to get $6.5 million our first year means a lot, to the point where I'm at Tamworth. I'm supposed to start handcrafting 4 of my own horses tomorrow. I scratched 3 out yesterday and shod one and gave it to a mate because I don't think there's much left in the tank for me. So I gave my best horse to one of my mates to compete, because I am. We've left it all on the table, I can tell you that.
I spoke to one of the vendors yesterday, and she said she swept the shed out, and she's not sure why, and she's not sure how she did it, but she did sweep the shed out. That's the way it is. And as you said, there's an emotional attachment as well. And I think this year as well, the great unknown, but I think the end result, people would have to be wrapped at, and really happy with how it's all come about. As I said, there's the odd person not happy, but overall, I think everyone's been pretty happy. I know people were blown away by the professionalism, and I think you guys will see a different side of professionalism next year from participants when they rock up. There'll be badging and branding, so you can rock up and see someone's name on their shirt, and you'll know exactly who that person is, which makes it easier for you to recognise them as well, and I think that's going to be key.
Like I say, I think it's a great platform to see some of those high sell horses, and let's, as an industry, make sure we lift the profile of the industry globally, because like I say, other industries I'm involved in, we breed great cattle, we've got world class sheep, we've got world class horses, we compete in international competitions in the equine world, and why not? We've got gallopers that we're one of the greatest thoroughbred racing industries in the world, and I think the standardbred industry is it's full of fantastic genetics, fantastic hard-working people. I found that out. And, if we can do something to see us get a launch pad onto the global stage, let's do it.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you very much. nutrienequine.com.au. Do not forget that website as well, because there'll be regular updates. There's a standardbred section. Make sure you go to it. And if you want to buy a sport horse or the likes, make sure you check out the other site. But it's always going to be there. It's always going to be updating. There'll be updates on when both these other 2 sales are coming, plus when we get around to this time next year as well, that sale. So make sure you keep going there, checking it out. If you want to buy anything, go to the Nutrien stores as well. Don't forget that support them, because as I said, these guys are from Tamworth. I was going to say Toowoomba for a minute, but definitely from Tamworth. Mate, thank you very much. Look forward to do plenty with you, but this has been a pretty good wrap, and I appreciate you giving me the time, buddy.
No, likewise, mate. No, we appreciate, I couldn't speak more highly for what Campbell's Comments has done to engage in different markets. Been fantastic, and again, your ability to improvise. I know there's been a lot of last minute moments where you've unfortunately, you're a bit like my background girl Nyo. You hardly ever say no. So I think you got plenty of jobs, and that's why this industry is in good shape, because of people like you, mate. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark Barton.